So many of us have been programmed to believe that we're responsible for how other people feel. And I'm here to let you know that that's not your responsibility. What your responsibility is to reprogram that into knowing that it's not your responsibility to manage how someone else feels. Let's get into it. Welcome to Empress Expressions. My name is Amber, and I welcome you whether you're new or you're returning. Welcome. Today, I want to talk about releasing the baggage, releasing the weight of other people's emotions, and how that can feel. I'll give some examples and things of that nature, but ultimately, I just want to talk about releasing that, letting that go, and I'm here to let you know that it's okay to not feel responsible for how someone else feels. Like, the only thing that you're responsible for is how you feel, right? Because if you've been here a minute or you're tapped into any type of metaphysics, you understand that your emotions are fuel. They are fuel to anything that you want or you don't want to come into fruition. So that's enough to manage, okay? It's not your responsibility to manage how someone else feels, all right? One of the first ways that you can notice or you can kind of see if you are tapped into the program of believing that you are responsible for how someone else feels is notice yourself. Notice how you adjust around people. Do you all of a sudden get silent? Do you feel like you have to over-explain? Those are some really key points that will help you bring yourself to witness yourself, to become more aware of yourself. And it helps you understand if you're trying to manage someone else's emotions. Something else that comes to me is allowing the other person to be responsible for their emotions. You have to allow them to be in their emotions, right? So for example, say I'm speaking my truth to someone, I'm telling them what I desire, what I want, who I am. They don't like it. It's not my job to shrink myself and make myself small and start changing up my truth to manage their emotional reaction. And I will honestly say that I have done this so often in the past. I will say the more that I did it in the past, the more I kept putting in the work on myself to see exactly where and how that was happening and kind of where these different things were tied up into, like, where I felt obligated. And honestly, now I'm like, I refuse. I'm not shrinking myself to make somebody else feel comfortable. I'm not going to do that, right? And so, telling your truth, being able to tell your truth and stand in your truth, and allowing someone to be responsible for managing, feeling, and sitting in their emotions. That's the way that it's supposed to be. Just as much as you telling your truth is going to maybe cause some type of an emotional reaction within you. Maybe you're nervous, maybe you're proud, maybe you're scared. That's for you to sit with. Just as much as their reaction to your truth is for them to sit with. So we are no longer shrinking ourselves in order to tell our truth. You can't even tell your truth when shrinking yourself. So another example that comes to mind is being able to say no. Say, like, for example, I don't necessarily deal with my family, right? And it's nothing that anyone's done to me. It's just not the spaces that they are in are not spaces that I want to be in. And so when I get invited to family events, I say no. And when I say no to certain family members, sometimes it may bother them, but it's not for me to try and fix it, right? If they're disappointed, that's their disappointment to sit in. It's not disappointment that I need to come back and, do damage control on, because I'm carrying the weight of what is for them to work through, right? So another person that's receiving your no, your truth, it's their feelings are for them to process just as much as yours are yours to process. Because I know for a fact, I grew up in a very tight-knit family, especially on my mom's side, and we always were there for each other in so many ways, with lots of obligations also tied into there. But within those obligations, we were also very there for each other. And so as I've gotten older and I realize that certain things don't jive with me, and as I stand in my truth and I claim my sovereignty, I have to sit in my emotions and my feelings when I speak my truth, when I say no, and I know that it's going to bother somebody, right? And honestly, I'll say in some ways it gets easier. It gets a little bit easier remaining sovereign and protecting your peace. I am one that my nervous system is important to me, right? My peace is a part of my nervous system, and I will not let anyone disrupt my peace. I have done it before. I have allowed it to be done before. I have shrunk myself to fit into someone else's story, right? And not fully taking the responsibility and the accountability and owning my power that they were a part of my story, right? So it gets a little bit easier, but it does not take away from there are still things that you as the person standing in your truth, you still have your own shit to sit with, right? You still have your own stuff to sit with. So don't, that's almost like trying to run away from your own stuff, maybe consciously or unconsciously by now, oh, well, I just want to make sure that they're happy. I want to make sure that I didn't disappoint them. You know what? In so many ways, like you let that go, right? For somebody who's a little bit more curt, you may be like, to hell with that. You may have a little bit more compassion, whatever it is for you, but leave them over there to process their stuff, and you come back to you and you process your stuff, right? That's how you stay sovereign. That's how you stay in your power. And that's how you keep your nervous system and you keep your nervous system intact and balanced. And that's how you also release the emotional baggage that sometimes we find ourselves taking on. So the last thing that I want to mention to you, so something else that I have witnessed in myself and in my life, the more that I practice this, and I realize that the more I don't try to manage and fix other people's stuff and I sit with my own stuff, right? Which, honest to God, that's probably some of the most difficult stuff to do, is to sit with your own stuff, right? But the more that I do that, the more lighter I become, the freer I become, the more I'm able to create from love, from this sense of fluidity, this sense of just straight liberation. It frees up your energy, right? It frees up your energy. It's like, for someone like myself, I train and I exercise. I like variance. I like being able to be adaptable to things when needed, but I still know what works for me, right? And me going to the gym on a full stomach is going to make me feel heavy. My body is consumed with trying to process whatever I just stuffed in my face, right? So what do? I typically don't go to the gym on a full stomach. I personally like to exercise fasted, but I have exercised on a full stomach. I have exercised, several hours after eating, but it's the energy, right? It requires energy to process and be all consumed with someone else's stuff when you could use that energy for your own stuff, work through your own stuff, and then you get lighter, you get freer because you have control of you. You have control of your thoughts and of your emotions and of your actions. You cannot control the other person. It's not wasted energy, but it's energy that's being exerted in a place that maybe everything's not in alignment, right? So when you start to bring everything back to you and you start to release the weight of other people's emotions, you get to truly start to like create and live life and just feel freer and lighter, and you move from more of a frequency of love, right? You get to move from this space and this place of everything is everything, and you understand that love is what literally is, it's the adhesive to everything. And when you can tap into that, that's a free flowing current that you can ride. But the best way, the quickest way to get there is to release the emotions of everyone else around you. Focus on yourself, process yourself, stand in your truth, and be true to who you are every day. So if this resonated with you, if you feel like you do have, obligations that have been programmed into you, from childhood, from society, from wherever, or if you just want to even explore it and see if there is some type of emotional baggage or some type of programming, obligations within you that could be, slowing you down from your next highest timeline, making you feel like there's some type of separation between, the next step. I created a workbook called Releasing Obligation. It's a light and shadow workbook. And it is a soul-led workbook. It's about 28 pages long. You can print it off, which I would highly recommend because I like tangible things. I like to be able to touch things. I like to be able to write things out, things like that. I like to use my senses. So if that's you, I highly recommend that you print this out so you can write. I gave plenty of room for you to do your writing. You can also add your own paper, whatever to it. But this workbook it's really good, and it's going to ask you the hard questions. One of the things though, when you get into this, just take your time. There's no rush, right? This is a journey. You do not have to rush through it. Make it something sacred for you. Make it sacred in the sense that it's you, your future self, your higher self. Y'all are all coming together. Your little child, your inner, your little girl, your little boy. Everybody's coming together in this moment to help you move in the direction in which it is that you choose to move in. All right. So check that out. I'll have that link in the description box below. Feel free to just let me know that you're here. You can comment down below. If you don't want to share anything, totally fine. Just drop me some emojis. I like hearts and I like flowers. And that's what I got for you. I send you peace. I send you light. I send you love. And I send you so much alignment on your journey. Peace.